So Halo is a franchise that is near and dear to a lot of people, us three especially. We all come from the Bungie era, the golden era, if you will. And over the last few years, we have seen a decline. Now, we can talk about how there probably has been a few good things within 343 here and there, I guess. But as a whole, it is nothing short of a colossal failure. Like the prophet said, your inability to safeguard the Halo was a colossal failure. But we are getting into, well, we're halfway through 2024. There is starting to get the rumors of the development of Halo 7, and we know very little. It's going to have Unreal Engine 5. But even with Halo 7, even if Halo 7 is just the most amazing game of all time, it still will not fix the state of this franchise. It'd be a very good step. But what we're going to do is try to figure out how we're going to fix this franchise. I'll start with John from RB the Chief over there. How do we fix this shit?
That's a really good question. I've asked myself that because I wonder, where do you go narratively from here? I mean, like in the case of a show that's actually good, or the one that wasn't so good, or the games themselves, where, we had the Halo ring, and then the ring got destroyed, and then there was another one, and then there was an array of rings, and then it's like, do you have it just so there's like a billion rings out there? Like, where does this end? Like, and if you're going to do a Halo game, presumably there has to be a Halo ring involved. So do we do sort of a reset where it's just back to one super ring or something, or a ring that's a bit different somehow? I'm not sure. I mean, that's one issue, but I mean, I would just like a cool game to, where you play as Master Chief. And if they just go back to the basics where it's just like one big ring and there's just something slightly different about it, or maybe it's just do Halo 1 again. I don't know. Like, I really don't know what the answer is.
Well,
I've heard there's sorry, go ahead.
That's an interesting one, because that's sort of kind of in a weird way what Infinite was supposed to be. It's on the Zeta Halo, which is the biggest Halo, and that has, what are they called on there? The Endless, which is supposed to be worse than the Flood. I don't know how you can create something that's more of a threat than the Flood.
Well, they don't even know. It wasn't even.
They don't even know. They don't even know. They just put it there.
That was bullshit, man.
A story for another time. But in a lot of ways, Infinite came across as a soft reboot. We're away from the Covenant. We have the Banished now, which is essentially Covenant 2.0. We don't have Flood anymore, even though they are kind of teasing a maybe possible Flood return. Then instead we have the Endless. And Master Chief and the weapon is basically Master Chief and Cortana from the first game. So in a lot of ways, it kind of sort of tried to do what you're saying. But what about you? So that's John, and that's John O.
Yeah, maybe I should have switched it over to John O on the tag. But yeah, it's a really difficult question to answer, because they've brought 343 has gone so deep with what they have already. I mean, just with the whole trilogy that we've just had recently, other than Halo 1 to 3, Halo 4, we had the Didact, and they brought in that whole faction of troops. That kind of like came and went with Halo 4 and with Spartan Ops. That was a bit of a mess, and then they started trying to make the constructs the major a new faction enemy with Halo 5 Guardians, which ended up being an absolute friggin' mess. And now we have like you said, we have now with Halo 6 at the end of it, we have the Endless that's supposed to be a greater threat, but like greater than anything they've seen before. But they have the same if not very similar origin to the Flood, that they're held in a Halo ring, even though a little different. They're basically coded into the way the Forerunners held all the species back in the way back in the day. And now we got the Banished, and he forget his name, but the leader of it, of the Banished, Atriox. Yeah, that's it. He's supposed to be unlocking them and waking them all up from this fucking millennia of slumber, dozens and dozens of millennia. They've set themselves up to have this absolutely convoluted mess already. At least from my perspective, I think like their best option at the moment is where somewhat of the direction that they're going. That want to keep going forward with this, which it's just really rough. But if they want to, they can bring, they have what they have there. But what I would really like to see is a little more of like with bring blue team. If Master Chief is going to be there with Cortana as well, if you need more troops, more of the humans, the Spartans, which are another thing that they've completely like messed up with is the whole essentially the massacre of the UNSC, the Infinity, the whole base of where all Spartan operations were supposed to be, but now they have like this other. That's really it. The big issue with them is that they have so much convolution going on with their entire story. It's very difficult to see where they can actually, where they can find. There's a real line to what they can do, what direction they have, without like making it feel like dull or like, oh, we've already gone through something like this before. But yeah, I would like to see like a little more of a reparation of what they massacred with Halo 5 Guardians, a real interaction with Blue Team and how they function, Master Chief, how he functions with other
Locke get killed off on screen.
Oh, well, apparently that's already happened with, that would be cool, but yeah, that's that already happened with what Halo Infinite. They have there's a character that has Locke's helmet as a piece of decoration on his armor, which sure, whatever.
He's running around without a helmet. The TV show set a precedent for Spartans with no.
They really did.
As well.
Yeah. It's
so one thing that I'm getting from both of you is convoluted. This stuff's just way too convoluted at the moment. I think a way for that is, and this pisses people off, we got to put Master Chief on pause. Because this stuff's so convoluted. They don't even have their own path forward yet. Put Master Chief on pause. Do an ODST2. Do like a whole new brand new squad of ODST2s. Yeah, set it back in like the Human Covenant War if you have to. Put it on some planet. Just make up a brand new planet where there was some crazy ass battle. Put them on it. And where the fuck's the Arbiter video game? Come on. give him his own separate video game. Set it between 3 and Halo 4 when he's going up against Jul Mondama and all that type of stuff. And that's the other thing we're doing with convoluted. Like you said, in Halo 4, they'll bring up the Didact. That's the big bad. They kill him off in that game, bring him back in the comic books and kill him off again, but now he's still alive because he had his own book. Yeah, and then they bring in this whole new Covenant faction called the Storm Covenant, but never explain it. And we're going, why are we fighting these guys again? Last time we saw them, we were cool with them. And they go, oh, that's a whole separate faction. But they never tell us that in the game itself. It's just so convoluted. But I think to get a path forward, you've got to put Master Chief on pause. Create like I think an ODST2 would be the best thing to do. And then so that way they have more time to figure out what they're doing. And I think a lot of people would be totally fine with an FPS game where you play as Jerome, the main Spartan from the Halo Wars games. He's like when people say if you have to replace Chief, that's probably the guy to pick, right? But what do we think? Do we think spin-off games is maybe an alternative route to go?
You go first.
Oh, well, frig, it's wicked difficult because it would be good as a spinoff, but timeline-wise, anything moving forward is still going to have it's going to be super convoluted. And unfortunately, I would absolutely adore a new ODST game, but unfortunately, with the way that they've set things up with like between Halo 3 and Halo 4, all the ODSTs and that whole regiment of soldiers, they all basically got like transferred over. They're basically Spartans at a certain point, right? They got the way that the Spartan program was Spartan 4, they were able to augment humans, and of all people, it would be the ODSTs that would actually absolutely be first in line to get those augmentations. So they basically become Spartan 4s, and they've basically blown up most of them with the way that they've set it up with the. If they're going to do anything new, it would have to be taken back to a time where it would be dealing with the insurrection and dealing with the the independent colonies outside and having that civil war amongst the humans. That would be something interesting to see. Like maybe at a point in the same timeline, at the same time of the as Contact Harvest, where they're dealing with the independent colonies and first meeting the Covenant and all the aliens. That would be really interesting. I also maybe like if you really want to follow like the ODSTs, it would have to be somewhere between 2025, 2525 and 2550, where it would be them learning about the Covenant, dealing with them, and also having like this kind of what would you call it, it's a warlike drama where you're following a squad or troop or a platoon of soldiers.
Band of Brothers.
Band of Brothers, like I think I'm more of. There's a particular TV show that was out in the late '80s, early '90s that would best be described of it. But what it was a drama of a platoon that was stationed at a particular base, or this could be on a particular ship in this aspect, where they do different missions, different operations, and you can watch the interactions between individuals. It would be I wish I could remember the show at the moment. Dang, but it would show like how the humans have like developed over time to have this inner conflict amongst them as a species, to having more of a unity against the new existential threat. It's that's it. It's if they want to do anything moving forward, they would have to go backwards to go back to what they had, because like we said, like if they want to keep all this canon, all this continuity that they've developed, it would just be an absolute mess trying to put it all together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
John, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like the original Halo trilogy was gold, and just narratively it made sense. First game, you had the one Halo ring. It's gonna destroy the galaxy, destroy the Halo, and then in the successive games, there was a whole bunch of rings, and if they collectively get engaged or whatever, they fire all at once, it blows up the whole universe. So that was a great thing to build up to at the end of the third game, and the third game was just a great close to the trilogy, if a little open-ended, but it felt self-contained enough to be like a secure trilogy. And then like Halo 4 it had an interesting thing going for it with Cortana's rampancy, I thought. How she sort of degenerates through the whole thing when she has been sort of the grounding element for Chief. Ironically, a computer that's keeping him human, right? And not just being a killing machine. And now she's like decaying, and he has to deal with that. I thought that was laying some interesting groundwork for like a new trilogy of games. But I still got the sense that I don't really know where exactly this is going, because we've already dealt with the Halo array. I mean, I think the end of the third game, like the chopped off part of the ship that Chief is on, it lands on, I think, Onyx, or just like this weird metal spherical planet.
Requiem.
Requiem.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was
okay,
the planet.
sorry.
Yeah. It was,
you guys are way better with the lore than I am. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's best at it. I'm still a little rusty on things, but yeah, it was a Forerunner Forge world that was, or something like that. Yeah. But
right.
Yeah, just remember. I don't know if you just remember the name of the show. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the show Tour of Duty.
Yes.
No. Yeah. No. That would be in something in that aspect for like a military drama. That would be a very good direction for if they want to make an actual good TV show. Use the same kind of tone and setting that they had with the live action Halo 3 ODST trailer, where they had, showed him an individual growing up, have his father or brother, lose, see him at the funeral, and you see him growing up and becoming a soldier, an ODST himself, and following a squad or a platoon like that, going and dealing with all the trauma and all the issues amongst them and amongst and going through the war itself. But it would very much it would be wicked. Yeah, you're right with when it comes to like the direction that they were going with with Cortana, the rampancy that she went through, and then all of a sudden in Halo 5 Guardian, she's basically cured of that rampancy, and she's ascended into another into a new form of construct. And
well, she sort of turns into a villainous character by the end, right? Which I actually thought that was interesting. Just
really?
Yeah.
That made me want to smash everything I own.
Really?
Yeah. I was ambivalent
like,
about it.
I felt like with the 3 games, we did the Chief and Cortana relationship thing really well. And then, like, taking that, the thing that's closest to Chief and doing that reversal where he has his ultimate enemy is now the thing that was, like, closest to him. I thought that was sort of a compelling conflict to have to lace throughout, like, a whole new series of games. Like, because... Well, I don't know where, like you guys are saying about the only way forwards is backwards, because I feel like we've done the Halo ring, but the franchise is called Halo, so if you're going to do another Halo game, presumably it's going to involve a Halo ring, and if you're going to, whatever your main character is going to be, like, it has to be just like a normal dude. Like, because if you're just going to do another super soldier, you might as well just make it Master Chief again. Because Master Chief already fulfills the goal of having the sort of faceless super guy that the person plays as, right? So, like, if you're going to expand on the universe, it makes sense to, in order to shake things up, I think having the player play the role of an ODST soldier and sort of fleshing the direction ODST was going, sort of expand on that might be the way to go, but it may not be as effective in terms of marketing, you know, because when people hear about a new Halo game, everyone's probably expecting to play as Master Chief because they like that character so much. Sure. So, and then, like, if you're going to go backwards, where do you set it? Do you set it before the rings are even discovered? Is there a ring even incorporated at all in the story? Because the thing with Halo 1 is that it told the story of Halo from the first discovery of the first ring. So you can't go further back while also including a ring of some kind, I feel like. So I feel like a Halo game...
Halo Wars did that?
Yeah. Actually, I didn't really play that one, so I don't know if a Halo ring was involved.
The Halo Wars games, I think the second one did go to a ring.
The second one went to the Ark.
Oh, the Ark. Okay. There we go. So that it does incorporate somewhat of the rings, but the original Halo Wars, it was
ODST?
more of a planet. Yeah, that was another one, but also with ODST, it was
that ties in with 2 and 3.
Yeah, so much.
No, you are right. A mainline Halo game does have to be on a ring, and inevitably you will have to take the story forward, and that is going to involve Master Chief. So essentially what I think they would have to do is they'd have to keep the next mainline Halo game has to stay on Zeta Halo. We've done all of Infinite on there. There was supposed to be campaign DLC that just never happened because 343 and Microsoft are a clusterfuck of a mess. But the next game will just have to stay there. Make it linear. Get rid of this open world shit. Fuck that off. Throw that in the bin. Push forward, and you're going to have a fight with Atriox.
Yep.
I don't think you can kill him in the 7th game because they have a serious villain problem. Like I said, Didac, killed off, brought back, nowhere to be seen. Cortana as the main villain of Halo 5. Well, we all saw how that ended. They just skipped the whole thing and said, nope, everyone hates that, just jump forward. They've had a problem with establishing a villain. And they have it now with Atriox, and they've put in... I give 343 a little bit of credit here. I think they actually have created a decent villain with Atriox by having his origin story with the Covenant War and all that type of stuff. To kill him off now or this early would just be a total waste of him. Atriox is in a position where he could be the main villain, at least for a while. You could do a whole saga with him and killing Atriox. And then, we're going to have to get the rematch between Chief and Atriox. And you kill off Atriox, defeat the Banished. And honestly, I think that's where you just cut the franchise and call it there because Chief's getting a bit older in every sense of the word. But it does have to stay on a Halo ring. And it does have to stay on Zeta. Zeta's the biggest ring. It's got all the other secrets on there. So you kind of just do Halo 1 You know, you open a door and go, oh shit, what the fuck is that? But
Yeah.
the thing is, we've all seen franchises that have gone way past their time, like their expiry date. I would argue Halo did that as well, but inevitably there does need to be an ending. And once you reach the ending of the story, the only way to tell more stories is back. We have a human covenant war. You could just do smaller scale games on smaller battles that they haven't established in canon yet, which then opens up the next possibility of Halo has always been a multimedia franchise. Goddamn, we need a good comic book series. We need a good Halo comic book series. A Halo just one all the way to whatever issue. And we need more books as well. The books qualities, they've always been kind of up and down in Halo. I think Jono would agree with me on that.
Yeah, varying on the art, the author, that really falls down to it. If they just have multiple authors just making different parts of the story they're trying to tell, it gets a bit of a mixed bag. But if they can keep like a single author, let him run wild, making his brainstorming his idea and then fitting it all together and helping him like chop it down, make it into a really concise and precise story. That would be really good.
I think 343 needs a proper science fiction writer on staff. Because, like, I don't think Halo Infinite is beyond saving. Like you were saying, this idea of Zeta Halo, where there's something weird about it compared to the other rings, that is salvageable. You can do something with that. But they don't know. They don't have a fucking clue what to do with this thing. I mean, that was such a cock slap at the end of Infinite, where at the beginning, Chief is just like, this ring, it's not like the others. And then at the very end of the game, he says these, like, the same line verbatim, this ring is not like the others. And it's like, we're at the end of the game now. You haven't answered the question. What's the endless? What are we doing here? Right? And God, if the Zeta ring, at least, I wasn't totally against the open world design of it. I like the idea of the grapple hook and sort of using that as a way of navigating all this extremely mountainous terrain. Because with Reach, we already did the jetpack, right? But with the grapple hook, you have this interesting fulcrum-based gameplay, kind of like Spider-Man, where you're swinging around and you let go at just the right time to preserve your forward velocity swinging through the air. Like, it was a cool mechanic. And I do like the idea of just landing on the Halo ring and just that feeling of being able to go anywhere. It's sort of a different way of representing the vastness that you first felt when you played like the first original Halo game, where you step out of the escape pod and you see Halo for the first time. You look up and you see like the ring stretching across the skybox, and it's just like, holy shit, I feel like this is a huge thing that I'm on right now. It's quite impressive. And I thought Halo Infinite sort of replicated that feeling in a new way with its open world design, where it's just like, oh, I feel like I can go anywhere in this ring. But it's just the same environments throughout the entire
that was my issue.
game.
And nothing happened. Like, you take the outposts, okay, cool. But there was never something like a banished counterattack. Where, say, like, you're on your Warhog, you're driving to start the next mission, and you're halfway there, and it's just Chief Outpost, Delta 2 is under attack, we need an assistance. And it's like, do you go for the mission, or do you turn around and help them?
Yeah, there's no sense of urgency, and it all just feels very dull, where it's just like, oh, here's a band of Covenant soldiers, kill them all. Oh, here's a band of Covenant soldiers, kill them all. Oh, press this button, go and press that button, and then it opens up these towers where you got to press that button and that button and that button to open this door, and go press that button. Like, it was all so, it didn't have any sort of narrative pull to it. Like, I wasn't interested in doing these things. Because, and the way, everything, it was just building up to this really underwhelming boss fight, and I felt like that was, and then it ended, and this like, what was, I mean, Halo 1, the story in Halo 1, I mean, if you took all the cutscenes of that game, you could make like a pretty cool like B movie action sci-fi film with that. It was just narratively interesting. You couldn't wait to play the next stage, and there was such a variance in the environments. Like, there's a snow level, there's interesting interiors and exteriors. There's night and day. I mean, I think there was a day and night cycle in Infinite, but it wasn't enough to make it compelling all the way through. So like Lethal, what you're saying about the open world game design, like there's definitely drawbacks to that. I totally agree. I'm not against the idea of open world design if it's just expanded upon and executed better with a narrative that's interesting and giving you a narrative urgency to go from A to B. You know.
Yep.
I think the other thing they got to do is, and this is such a low hanging fruit, that we got to expand from 343. If 343 is not going to drop it, other studios need to have a shot. At least maybe give them the spin off ones. Give some other studios some spin off ones. Sorry, John, I cut you off.
Oh, I was gonna
No.
continue.
I think I said everything, and they don't know.
Oh, sorry, I meant John O.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
It's all good. It's all good. No, I was just gonna allow jump off further from what you were saying about like the open world and Zeta Halo and how the poor execution was done with Halo Infinite, where you're supposed to be on the biggest Halo ring throughout the entire franchise out of all the rings, but everything that you had to do was so confined in such a small space compared to what we've been to before with the original Halo, going across different landscapes and different practically different seasons with the like you said, with the winter we had the grasslands, desert plains, and all of that. What I would like to see, even though I do like the kind of like maybe have a little bit of a column A and column B, have some sort of like open world aspect with the missions, but still have that progression from level to level to level. Allow people, like a few games have done it well before, where they provide you an open world map where you can decide how you approach different areas but still have a concise through line of objectives that you have to go through to actually complete that level. But it is such for game developers these days, that kind of thinking and that kind of approach to creating levels and creating a game is so big and vast that the higher ups usually have a harder time kind of like accepting that, and they want to have it a little more, have an easier time in that kind of development. I would like for that. Absolutely. It would be great. It would be great to see something like that come back, a little bit mix of the original Halo, but still have that open environment.
That's one thing Infinite did well, is I felt Infinite was a nice progression. Like compared to Halo 4 and Halo 5, Infinite felt the most like Halo, while also, being a bit more modernized and all that type of stuff. But another important aspect of Halo is its multiplayer. Now, I fall into the camp of thinking that Halo Infinite's multiplayer was good. My problem was that it was too, apart from all the updates and all that type of stuff, but just from a strictly core gameplay perspective, it was too focused and built around competitive play. Competitive play will always have a spot in Halo. It's been there since day one, but it should never come at the loss of casual fun. When you think of Halo 3 and Halo Reach, those were probably the best examples of a more casual experience, especially with like the custom games that you could do and all that type of stuff. Do you guys think they're kind of leaning too heavily into this competitive side and it's taken away from the more casual fun part?
Neglecting the more social aspect of Halo Online multiplayer is a grave mistake. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the custom games and the Forge maps and the crazy shit people would come up with, like and all the, even as early as Halo 3, you had an insane amount of tweaking that you could do to gravity and player speed and whether they have shields and how strong they are. And, what weapons people start with, how fast they can move. And you had such flexibility with Forge. And I think Infinite did carry a lot of that over now, but they didn't strike while the iron was hot, because it had like this limp dick launch where it didn't have Forge or co-op. And it introduced that stuff later with a Forge mode that I think is actually quite impressive.
It's the best Forge mode to date, actually.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's got the most stuff, and it can handle the most stuff, and you can do scripting in it. It's probably the best Forge mode. Yeah.
Yes, you can make maps that don't even look remotely like Halo. You can make it look like a totally other game, and like you were saying, logic scripts. You can create things like that Halo 2 map, there's Terminal or something where the train comes through and kills everybody. Like you could, a user could create some weird dynamic part of the map like that where. It's super interesting, right? And you want And yeah, it shouldn't always be about competitive play. It should just be like, I'm just going to jump in this match and fuck around. No time limit on this. There's no stress about like who's killing who. It's just we're fucking smacking this soccer ball around with gravity hammers or whatever. Like that needs to be absolutely preserved. I would say even more so than the competitive element. But I think like the competitive element is sort of consuming everything, like this monster blob, just because it's like a moneymaker to like all these developing companies, you know.
Johnny?
I would say the low, like for me, the lowest point of the multiplayer was when they were trying to appeal to the esports aspect, when they had this sort of like aesthetic of just like this hyper competitive like tournament style stuff, where it was like, you know, I forget which one it was, either Halo 4 or Halo 5, where they had these launch pads. They throw you into this little arena, Halo 5 Guardians. Okay, yeah. Or it was just like, it was straight, just a complete direct appeal to only like esports competitors. People who know me, they know that I'm not the biggest fan of esports like at all. Just prefer the old fashioned LAN party gaming with your buddies and just having a good fun time. And now you guys talk about like with how Halo Infinite's really developed over time, over the years since its launch, to actually have what people were expecting from it at launch. And I gotta definitely give it another chance, maybe. But they have a good at the moment with Halo Infinite. They have a good like direction that they're going with their multiplayer, where you could jump right in, you could play with competitively or casually, and play whichever game modes that you would like. That kind of, they have like a sort of like seasonal, like seasonal set of game modes that they provide you to play. I would like to see that completely removed. Allow people to make their own game modes and have fun with everything, all of it all at once. Just but it's they always complain about the their issue with that is like keeping all the servers separated and having them always up to date and active for different aspects of the games. But it's always like that issue of like, are you guys willing to put out so that so you can give exactly what you had once before? Like for my highest point for the games was with Halo Reach and that was, they gave us everything at all times, all at once, was all the game modes. The Forge World was always available for people to play. They had, allowed people to make all these different game modes. And so what you guys are saying, yeah, they have that in Halo Infinite now with Forge World finally brought out. But it's, they didn't strike when, to quote, to paraphrase you, they didn't strike when the iron was hot. And they just they went too quick into launching it and actually having it out there, and they didn't have everything ready when it was by the time that they launched it. It's really unfortunate to see that they basically shot themselves in the foot with those decisions.
Well, I think we could say that for the past 10 or so years.
Yeah, it's
a lot
true.
of decisions just don't make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one hell of a fucking rabbit hole. The more you get into it, the more questions pop up and the more things you have to feel about with this. I think if I had to narrow it down, though, at least for me, the main thing to fix going forward is take your time and try to come up with an answer to these story questions you've introduced over the last few years that they don't necessarily not make sense. It's just like it hasn't been explained very well, which just leaves so much up in the air for interpretation, which is where we get very, very confused with a lot of this. And try not to repeat yourself too much. Like, I know I said I like the villain of Atriox, and I think the Banished is a logical progression from the Covenant. I think it makes more sense than Jul 'Mdama's Covenant. But it gets to a point, though, where we're just constantly repeating. Yeah. So if I had to pick the few things to fix, it would be, you got to fucking, apart from the easy low-hanging fruit stuff, it's fuck free for free and launch with full features. Agreed. But we need more focus on the narrative. Halo has always been much more narrative-driven than a lot of other FPS games. Halo 2 is still considered one of the greatest stories in first-person shooters. That, and I think maybe just some more spin-off titles would be the two things I think would be the most important things to focus on. apart from the easy answers. John?
Yeah, that would be really good. But what I would like to see from them is, as much as the franchise itself is very much a multimedia project, and they've done a lot of great things outside of just the games. Like back in, as much as everybody rips on Halo 5 Guardians, some of the one of the best like stories that we did get was the first season of Hunt the Truth, the audio story of Benjamin Giroux discovering all this stuff, and we also got a very, very different perspective of Oni that we had never seen before when that had first come out, where they were like a dark black ops, really like kind of like CIA kind of group, and they were terrifying. They're absolutely terrifying when you see them at a different perspective. But I think with like the games itself, they really need, if they're going to tell a story, they really need to tell us everything within the games, because for as a vast majority of the players, they don't really go beyond the games, and they have so many, as much as, even though they have so many questions and they want people to purchase things outside of the games to get those answers from, it becomes more frustrating than than a marketing opportunity.
Absolutely. And the original trilogy did that the best. I mean, if you took a step back and look at Halo 1, 2, and 3, you'd be like, I don't understand why all of this is happening. But the condensed story, you go, we're here. It flows. If you want to take a step back and go, what is this war? Like, what is actually like really the bigger story here? It's all out there. But you can't say the same with 4, 5, and 6. You're like, it's just going from 4 to 5 is, and then going from 5 to 6 is,
Absolutely. And as for like other games, offshoot games that can come out like beyond that, I would like. There's so many different fan made games that have been made out there. I would like, for one in particular, art from a mod set that you can get through if you have Arma 3, which is called Operation Trebuchet. It's based on the insurrection war between the UNSC and the independent planets, where you're basically using the assets of Arma 3, which is a complete like to the T military simulation, and you're fighting on multiple different planets. You have all the assets of Halo from both sides, even regular human weapons that are more advanced to be in the 26th century, and it bring out more of a lean more into the that little military aspect that they've had. And there's many different like avenues that they can go with genres of games, like maybe even like looking at the idea of maybe a third person shooter. Maybe look back at what the original ideas that they had for Halo back when it was called Blab, the RTS.
Of which, here's a little fun fact for you. One of the early ideas in Halo 1 was that Cortana goes rampant.
That's true. Yeah,
how fun is that? Yeah. All right, John, any final thoughts on this absolute rabbit hole of a conversation?
I think the reason Halo 4 to 6 has that sort of head-scratching thing from game to game going for it is that, not going for it, against it, is that they are afraid to repeat themselves. And honestly, I'd prefer they repeat themselves rather than just do what they did with Infinite, where like they had, I thought, a strong setup, and then regarding the ending, they just went, we'll figure that out when we come to it in like an extra DLC package or whatever, which is like the wrong way to do this. The thing with Halo is that it's a Pandora's box story in space. So like the whole sequence of events is sort of built into the idea of Halo. It's a mysterious thing. You open it up, it's a weapon, it's going to kill everything, blow up Halo, right? So within that broad framework, I think you can do new and interesting things with the character. And, that includes Master Chief, because Master Chief, he is sort of like this vessel for the player to inhabit, but he's not like Doom Guy, where he's just this empty dude. Like,
that was one of the things that frustrated me so much with the Halo show. I promise I'm not going to go on a rant about the show, but Master Chief is a character. He's not some just fucking name. His name's John, like you two. But he's got his own story, his own thing. Sorry, I'm going to go off.
Oh no, it's all right, man. I'm just saying, like within the broad framework of that Pandora's box story, I think you can do that again, but put Chief through a new kind of emotional experience. I presume something involving Cortana that's just a bit different than before. I mean, they did a hint of that with Halo 4 with the rampancy thing, which I thought was interesting, but then they didn't want to do like the Halo ring thing again. They just went this new direction with the Didact, which to me as a villain was a step down. Because like in the original Halo games, the villainy was more ideology rather than just some big fucking ripped alien that's gonna like kill Master Chief, you know? Like it was the prophets of truth and whatever the other ones were. They really were trying to like they thought this was the answer. They were trying to make things better, like by releasing the Flood, but they were just so gripped by their ideology, they were made dangerous. So it wasn't really like we're evil aliens and we're gonna destroy everybody. That's what I felt Halo 4, 5, and 6 regressed into.
Yeah.
It's just sort of cardboard, one-dimensional villainy, and it was just, you know, underwhelming. And if Halo Infinite did the whole, oh, it's a weapon, it's gonna destroy everything, we have to destroy it, I would prefer that over what they did, which is just it's like a setup with not even a middle, never mean an end. It felt like a setup, and then it's just on life support until it suddenly ends with an obnoxious boss fight. Like,
Yeah, that was rough. Yeah, it would be a lot. It'd be easy. It wouldn't. A real issue that they've made is that a convolution and not knowing what to do once they set things up, like with Halo 5, the Guardians. All these, it was always a big mystery. Like they plucked it from like the original games, where it's like, you know, you were killed by the Guardians. It was like the weirdest thing in the world. Everybody's kind of questioning it, and we got the answers for that. But then we had from Halo 5 to Halo 6, we barely even see them. All we get is little tidbits of what they actually like achieved, like when they approached Earth and such, and completely destroyed just about everything, all kinds of portions of the planet. But after that, it was got nothing, because Cortana was defeated. It was killed off, and nothing.
It's cold feet. It's cold feet at every turn. It's like, do we go here? No, now we'll go here. Oh, okay, we'll go here now. It's like, so I'm going, dump. Nothing's really lining up.
They really need to commit to what they have. If they're going to be going with this endless, they need to flesh them out full form and completely commit to what they have, because they had something really great, like you were saying before, John, about the with the Covenant back in the day. They had a great drive. It wasn't just a big tough boss that you had to beat, like with kind of the way it is with Atriox. Even though he does have like a drive, but the level of drive that the Covenant had was like this extreme zealotry.
Yeah, to the point of just above and beyond. There is no reasoning with it.
Yeah, well, that was it. Their death was for a greater good, and it was very easily understandable. I guess maybe with the times that they were as well, to see this covenanted species all striving together for this misleading ending that they were all looking for, the great journey. But I'm calling back to what you said there, John. They need to really have a strong Bible thumping science fiction writer who knows all kinds about about his expertise, and can keep them on track to give us something really like concise, proper, and fulfilling, rather than feeling like left off and things missing, and always ending it with more questions than answers.
Yeah, wow. And Halo Infinite felt entirely built around mechanics. So it's got to be open world. We want a grappling hook, and then whatever. We'll just figure out a story as we develop it, and then it just didn't. Of course, it just didn't go anywhere because it didn't have an ending in mind.
I'll be honest. I'm completely honest. The grappling hook, absolutely hated it at the very first concept of it. I just despised it in all its aspects. But after I played Halo Infinite and started needing to use it, it grew on me. So So yeah, I do like it. It's good. Hopefully they.
I also
Yeah,
can I say one more thing about the endless? I
Yeah.
think that idea is salvageable, and whatever it is, I think it needs to be sort of AI related, something about computers, because like
Didn't
if
they
I
just do
can't.
that with Cortana though?
Well, I think do something different with AI, tie Cortana into it, because we can't go the organic route, because the flood already was that. The flood was already designed to be basically the most grossest, terrible thing ever, right? It's not even like Alien, where, like the face huggers, or at least they have sort of an elegance to their design. The flood are just these fucking gross, malformed, malproportioned things, right? And it's just this virus that sort of horribly takes over everything and makes people suffer. And like, Captain Keyes has that famous death where he's just like this grotesque form. Like you already see like the terrible things that it does to people. I feel like we can't go organic if you're going to expand on the endless. So the alternate way is to do something computery with AI in a way that's like dangerous to the whole universe. I don't know what that is, but something in that vague direction, and tie Cortana into it somehow. If it involves repeating some of the things that they did in season or Halo 4 and 5, I think so be it. Like, at least it's something,
Yeah,
because Halo Infinite.
Speaking of
really
spin-off
anything.
games, a flood horror survival,
Oh, that'd
Yeah,
be cool.
that-
Yep,
Dead
that'd be
Space
great.
that'd be
style.
great.
Yeah.
To go back with
Go on.
what you were saying, with what you were saying though, they kind of had that perspective. They had that aspect before, at least with bio and mechanical having sort of a unity. That like in the ancient times in the franchise, the Forerunners were at the worst. Well, at least the way they were portrayed were at the peak of technology of a unity before of biology and mechanics, which we had like the Forerunner and like with Born Stellar and his Ancilla. And we kind of had like a repetition with that technology with Master Chief and Cortana, where it was this a symbiote, like somewhat of a symbiotic relationship going on. If they can make the Endless have that true like epitome of that potential that's there, that would be a really cool aspect to go up against and to see like how humanity and Master Chief will be able to compete against that. But it's also it's the convolution too, because like how did the Forerunners were able to seal them into a different into the digital library that they have and to bring them back out? There's so much.
It's
The fact that it's all convoluted, yeah, they've written themselves into such a deep corner. And
Yeah.
I would love to see them dig their way out of it, but they've really got to get somebody dedicated who really knows their stuff, or at least 2 or 3 of them that can put their heads together to figure how the hell to get out of this hole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. But I think for today, that's enough. We'll have to do a part 2 to this sometime, because this topic just keeps going and going and going. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.